Oh my gosh. It's insane. And we told you so. The stake starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is the Michelle Kinney, and we are the co-founders of the Seneca Project. I want to say welcome to everyone who is following us on Blue Sky. We are over there now, and we have a bunch of new followers, and it is a wonderful, lovely place so far. And so welcome to the newbies who are just joining the stakes for the first time. And hello to everyone who has been with us from day one since we launched this. We are happy to be back with you guys. It's, we've been recalibrating and recharging and processing everything since the last time we were together, which was just 2 days after the election. Michelle, you and I have been just keeping it together. It's been a tough 2 weeks, but we're still here and we're still in this fight.
Amen, sister. Amen. I liken all of this time right now that we're using, I think all of us collectively, to kind of just take a minute, take a beat. As you know, when you're on the airplane, it says, if the oxygen mask falls, put it on yourself before you put it on the person next to you.
Yes.
That's kind of how this feels. Like we can't move forward unless we, kind of handle ourselves and deal with ourselves and let ourselves, heal in whatever way that means. Enjoy our families for the holidays. Listen to music, do things that make you happy right now, so that we're recharged and ready to go.
Yes.
Because Donald Trump still hasn't even been sworn in yet.
He
and
hasn't
it feels like hell.
even been sworn in yet.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are with a fire hose of fuckery. It's only been 2 weeks. So we all have to eat our Wheaties and get our cardio in, because it's going to be a long 4 years. And so we want to make sure that we are our best political selves as we head into this fight, because that's the only way we're going to survive this. Like we have to, and we have to make sure that we are focusing our energy in the right places where we are doing the best that we can to push back against what's happening. Because I know for a lot of people, and even I was struggling with this in the first few days. I'm like, how the fuck are we going to survive this?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like we were all just like, okay. But then after I mean, everybody has a different threshold. Mm-hmm. And, my natural default is like, okay, that's it. What do we do next? What do we do next? Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of anger and fear and outrage now, even more so than before the election, because the reality is beginning to hit us of what this is going to look like, with Donald Trump naming his picks, putting together his cabinet of what I am calling the cacophony of kooks, crazies, and crackpots. And it feels pretty bleak, but there was a sign of hope today. And I've been saying this, and I've been trying to put this out there, because I've been doing a lot of media lately, because, collectively we're all trying to figure out like what this is going to look like and what do we do. So I was on MSNBC last night. I've been on CNN and MSNBC a lot the last week, really driving home the point that we cannot obey in advance. And even though we've seen some people that seem like they're doing that, which is very disappointing, we have to make a decision whether we're going to continue to try to hold these people accountable and expose them and point out what they're doing and why it matters and why people should still care. Because as long as we still do have elections, we've got to use those elections to vote these people out of power. Right. We've got state and local elections coming up. I don't care what anybody says on the Democratic side. This is part of the reason why they lose. It starts now for midterms.
Yeah.
Okay. Like there is no time off. I mean, obviously take a couple days, but the point is that you've got to start investing now because the other side never stops. We've said this before. If you've been following us for a while, you know we have said this. And it's like they don't stop. We cannot
No.
either. So, some good news today in all of this fuckery is that, well, we won't have Attorney General Matt Gaetz.
Listen, it's a low bar.
It's a low bar, but we
a
got to
low
take
ass
the
bar.
little wins. We got to take the little wins.
It's truly. And you know,
but I'm going to talk about Pam Bondi in a second. But go ahead, Michelle.
Pam Bondi. Listen, the thing about Trump, and we all know this because we've been dealing with this mother effer for too long, is that he goes too far. So then the little step back, everyone kind of takes a collective sigh,
Right.
but it's still bad. I mean,
Yes.
I honestly was kind of shocked that he chose Pam Bondi. She's clearly problematic, but she's not Mike Davis. So if you don't know who Mike Davis is, this is the person who Steve Bannon had been pushing. It's the person that really was at the tip of the tongue for the last year and a half, maybe, as the attorney general pick for Donald Trump in his second
Project
term.
2025 guy, a guy after the election said that he wants to drag the bodies of Democrats through the streets.
Yeah, like, terrifying guy.
He's a horrible
terrifying
guy. Yeah.
Terrifying man. And, you know, so Pam Bondi, not ideal, but whatevs.
Right.
You know, just add that to the list of just, I mean, she's a lawyer. She is a lawyer, right? I mean, she was.
So here's the thing about Pam Bondi. Some people may know, some people may not, but I lived in Florida for 2 years. My family had a house in the Florida Keys for like 25 years. So I do have some knowledge about Florida politics. I also was on a congressional campaign a couple years ago in Florida. So like I understand a lot of Florida politics. And Pam Bondi, I know it's Florida is an interesting place. And frankly, as a Republican in Florida, I mean, I watched how Republicans built the machine for the last 20 plus years.
Unbreakable in a lot of ways.
And, you know, I mean, I wasn't on the Democratic side, so I wasn't sounding the alarm because by the time the alarm needed to be sounded, 2020, it was way too late. I mean, the infrastructure was already there and Democrats were way behind the curve. And then when Miami-Dade went to Trump, that was like the final piece falling. And it's going to take Democrats a long time to get back Florida. But at least Dems have like Nikki Fried and some others there in Florida that are trying to make an effort.
Andrew Warren.
Yes. And like that, it's got to start somewhere. But Florida is pretty entrenched with these horrible MAGA people now. And Pam Bondi was the attorney general of Florida.
Right. That's right.
And she was the one who took $25,000 donation from the Trump Foundation to make the Trump University case go away. Yes. And so then she also recognized that she needed to jump on the Trump train if she wanted to continue to have relevance in politics. And so she was on the Trump impeachment team. She was there during his criminal trials. She's been there along the way as a Trump sycophant and a mouthpiece on Fox News and all the right-wing places.
Right.
She also made sure that she got the Trump Real Housewives of Mar-a-Lago treatment, because if you look at pictures of Pam Bondi from 5 or 6 years ago and you look at her now, she is made for TV. She's another one.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Interesting. I haven't seen a picture of her in a very long time.
Yeah. So, well, you'll be seeing a lot more pictures of her now that she's been picked as the attorney general nominee. But so the thing about her is that she presents well. She's a attack dog on TV for Trump. She's also full MAGA. So what scares me about people like her, and I tweeted this before we came on air, was that she is the Celebrity Apprentice meets the Hunger Games type of pick.
It's like the perfect.
Yes. She's blonde. She presents well. She actually is competent. I use that loosely, but like she was the attorney general of Florida. So
you can't be a total dummy and do that job, you know?
Right. Did I just freeze? Did I freeze? Oh no.
You like doing this.
No. Can you hear me? But I'm frozen.
Can hear you. Hear you.
If I have to come back and come back in, I will. I'll finish my sentence and my funny face there. She does know how the levers of power work. So those are the people who scare me the most. I shall return. Carry on, Michelle.
Okay. Where does Tara go? Where did Tara go? Well, it's just me. Hello. Pam Bondi. Well, I really don't know what to talk about, but I guess that I'll talk a little bit about just kind of how I've been coping in this moment. I think a lot of my friends have been reaching out to me as their friend in politics who knows what's going on. And hi, Tara. Let's switch spaces. I was just talking about how I was coping, and all my friends have been reaching out to me, and I've been trying to go see music and having actual FaceTime, face to face with friends has been very, very helpful. And,
yes. And you put up your Christmas tree because that brings you joy. It brings you joy.
It does. It does.
Yes.
But anyways, because I'm not as well versed in Pam Bondi land as you are. So if you want to continue.
Yes, that's okay. I'll finish the point in that, like I said, this is what I've been talking about. I've been saying this on air too, about that Donald Trump's tenure is the Celebrity Apprentice meets the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the TV element, there's like the reality show element and how people look, and the central casting kind of bullshit that Trump feels is important, because he's not trying to actually reform or change anything. He's trying to destroy it.
Right.
And that's where the Hunger Games part comes in, because for those who are I love the Hunger Games, by the way.
Yeah.
I just love
good.
it. I'm obsessed with Katniss, and I think like we were talking about this, I'm going to get a pin and that's right. We're going to do the freaking Hunger Games thing, because it's like, if you look at the excess of the Capitol and how everyone is all jazzed up and they're all like, it's all very like, like this is a fun kind of prom thing. It's to mask the cruelty and the depravity of what the Capitol is doing to the people. And they live in their own little bubbles there, and their, in their extravagance and their fabulousness. Meanwhile, there are people, children and others are being pitted against each other in a game to the death, where they watch. It's a very, are you not entertained? It's very Roman Colosseum, right? Where people go to see people getting torn apart. Like, that's what Donald Trump likes, that depravity of it. But they mask it, they try to, behind the big costumes and the pomp and circumstance. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing here with some of these picks and the way he's doing it. Pam Bondi is an example of that. Pete Hegseth is an example of that.
Ugh.
Right?
That guy terrifies me.
Moving on to the next one, right? So Matt Gaetz is gone. We don't know what's going to happen to him. I think that there's a possibility that he ends up somewhere else. There's some discussion of whether he can actually take his seat in the next Congress, because he was reelected.
Didn't he say in his resignation letter that he would not be? He's not going to take the oath for the 116th.
Does that matter? And it's 119th, but yes,
19th. Sorry,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they actually say. He could say, I mean, come on, he could change his mind. However, there's a couple of other things. He just tweeted out that he would, you'll see him in another post. He used the term post. So is that a post in the Trump administration, or is that a post as in like maybe being appointed to the Senate? Because remember, Marco Rubio has been named to be Secretary of State, which means there's an open seat in Florida for the Senate, and the governor gets to appoint that person. And the next election isn't until 2026.
And there's one person on the Republican side there's been chatter about her running for governor in Florida, and that is Ms. Casey DeSantis. And she's already kind of posturing that she's going to run. And I'm sure that, Ron DeSantis sees this as a perfect,
clearing path.
Yeah, clear the path. Clear the
Gaetz
path.
wanted to run for governor, for those who don't know. Matt Gaetz was thinking about running for governor in Florida after, depending on what happened here, right? So if Trump had lost, Gaetz was definitely running for governor.
Yeah.
And then all of this shit happened. So there's a lot of moving parts here with that. And if you also notice that a lot of these picks are Florida centric. Why? Because Susie Wiles, who is going to be Trump's chief of staff, who is also Trump's campaign manager, co-campaign manager with Chris LaCivita, is from Florida. So all of this maneuvering with people from Florida, this is very Susie Wiles-esque.
And Marco Rubio was her client, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
been around a long time.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, her daughter and I hung out together in the 2008 Republican convention in Minneapolis. She's still friends with me on Facebook and likes things that I post. I have not talked to her daughter in many, 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 many years, but it's interesting. I wonder what side she's on because I can't really tell. But yes, the irony of all of that, it's crazy. So anyway, so that's what's happening there. Then we've got the Pete Hegseth nomination, which is a disaster. And he's another pretty boy that looks the part, but doesn't have any qualifications. And besides that, apparently he's a sexual predator.
Yes.
Now,
which
I
at
mean,
this point it's kind of like a prerequisite. It's like me too, but no, me too. And
right.
you know what I mean?
It's how many?
Nothing
How many?
matters.
Like at one point, it was 40% of Donald Trump's cabinet picks were credibly accused of sexual assault in some way, or had some kind of sexual.
Linda McMahon is under investigation for sexually exploiting children.
Yep.
Through the WWE.
Yes.
And she is
her husband,
Secretary of Education. Yes.
And her husband under suspicion for sex trafficking. And being an accomplice that with someone inside the WWE, which they ran. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They still, whatever their role are.
Not really my.
Me either. I'm sorry. I gave up when it was the WWF when I was like 8.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Okay. I was all into it.
My husband and like all of his friends are always like doing like The Rock.
We loved
and, like,
are you kidding
John
me?
Cena, all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, I'm older than you. So when it was WWF back in the 80s.
Right. I mean, my generation, like, you know, when we were kids was like Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Right. Which
Iron
is again very sad.
Yeah. I mean, I know Hulk Hogan, another one who's a total degenerate. But back then we didn't know. It was all cool. Iron Sheik, Randy, what's his name with the snake? Right. It was all of that stuff. But that's when I was 8. Okay. Unfortunately, this is now a whole big thing, and there's like adults that still are into this, which should tell us a lot about why our society is where it is, but that's another discussion.
Right.
But yes, Linda McMahon and her husband, they're dealing with this issue, and what happens to that investigation? That's going to all go away. I've got news for you. That's what's going to happen to it.
Yeah.
But all of these people, I remember when Republicans made a nominee withdraw because she didn't pay taxes on her nanny, who was whether she was in the country legally or not. That was Linda Chavez.
Times change.
Okay, I mean, here we now have multiple nominees with sexual, some kind of sexual assault or questionable, illicit sexual behavior. This is nuts. So
yeah, for all the Pizzagating that side has been doing for however many years at this point, I mean, in the QAnon nonsense and like the sex trafficking and the thing,
it's projection,
right? I'm like, hold a mirror up to your face, folks. It's your people. It's your people, and it's sick. And again, the way that they mask the depravity and the sickness of what's happening on that side is to accuse the other side.
Yes. That is correct. Today, we were a little late today because I have been running around like a crazy person today. I was in DC all day. I have a friend who works in the White House, and she invited me over to the campus there. So it was nice to look at the White House and be there on a lovely fall day before it all goes to shit again in January. So I had a chance to do that and talk to her about some things that are going on. And then I spoke at the annual democracy conference that the University of Virginia's Center for Politics puts on every year. And as folks know, I'm a resident scholar there. And it was on my alma mater's campus this time. It was at GW. GW hosted it.
Fun.
And it was it was cool to be back on campus. I mean, it's changed a lot since I was there 30 years ago, and I'm still in denial that it was 30 years ago that I was running around.
I just had my 20th college reunion.
I'm like, this is crazy because it does not feel like it was that long ago, but a lot of changes at GW, a lot of cool changes. I mean, to go to school there now, a lot of new things. And I was in the GW campus store to go buy some gear. And I was just looking around. I was like, wow, they even changed the name. We used to be the Colonials. Now we're the Revolutionaries, the Reds.
Oh, really?
Yes, GW.
I wouldn't have even known what the GW mascot was.
It was George Washington because we were the
Oh,
colonials and
okay.
GW, yes,
That makes sense.
and we also have a little hippo thing on campus, so now they kind of lean into that because the woke mob came for the colonials name, and GW acquiesced and changed it to the revolutionaries. I didn't even know what they changed it to till I walked into the store. I remember when this was happening, and I was like, "Oh, for
Mhm.
God's sakes, guys, really?" And then I'm like, the Revs, what the hell are those? And then I was like, oh, the revolutionaries. I refused to buy anything that said that on there because when I was there, we were the colonials. So that's that. But
Right.
anyway,
That's the nice thing about your school having a mascot that's a piece of fruit.
yeah, right.
Well,
That's right.
go orange. Although it's like a little man and he's got like,
Right.
you
He's
know,
got little
defense on the
hands.
field.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Also, just
anyway, yeah. So
really
that's why
quick.
we were late. So I was running around and
Oh, yeah.
I came in from that. And I brought that all up to say that during the conference today, one of the things that I mentioned was I call it the Pee Wee Herman tactic. The I know you are, but what am I? That this is what the Trump people have done. MAGA has done this for
Mhm.
a lot of the time. They turn it around because Margaret Brennan from Meet the Press. She was the moderator of our
Mm.
panel, and she
Mhm.
asked the question about like, well, Trump ran on democracy also. He claimed that he was defending democracy, and I was like, yes, they co-opted that because he always accuses the other side of what they're
Right.
guilty of. And here's
Always.
a perfect example. And so that's what it's don't fall for it. Do not fall for the okey doke. It's all
Nope.
projection. Look at how many people on the Republican and MAGA side have been convicted of child pornography, of
Yep.
paying off mistresses, of all kinds of sexually deviant shit. It's on the other side, and
Uh,
yet they're the ones running around screaming about pedophiles
right.
because there's a lot of repression going on there.
Uh, you think?
Nancy Mace and the transgender shit. Like, what are you
I don't
doing?
even know. Listen, I'm not going to get into a whole thing about transgender
Me
people. I
either.
don't want to go there,
She's
but
just
it's like,
horrid.
but here's my feeling about all of this. Who cares?
Right?
Let people be who they want to be or who they feel that they are. Just let people be. Just stop. Stop. It's
It's
so
not.
cruel.
It's
It
not
is so
impacting her.
predatory to go after people in this way. She was elected, duly elected to the House, I think what, in Delaware?
Delaware. Yeah.
And I feel for her. I think it's just awful the way that they are othering her in such a way that I think it's embarrassing, and I think it's a stain on our country the way that we do this to people. And it just I've been really really mad about it, really upset because I mean it really could be any group of people,
Yes.
any
It
group of
starts
people.
with them, and then,
Right,
are we gonna say, next thing, and she doesn't feel comfortable with black women in bathrooms
right,
because,
exactly.
she's offended because, I don't know, we're strong and smart and she's not? I don't know. I mean,
Right.
she is just a performative bitch, and I can't take
Oh,
her. I
do you
just don't know what
remember?
happened to her
Do you
with the
remember the spray paint on her front lawn? Do you remember that?
No.
So, okay. I think it was Bess Kalb. Do you know who she is? She's
No.
a writer. I think she writes a lot for like Vanity Fair stuff. Anyways, she had posted something on Blue Sky the other day, bringing up and reminding people of like, remember the time that she, was like, we woke up this morning and we had all this stuff. There was Antifa sign, like, graffiti on our sidewalk outside our house, and like we're okay
Oh.
and we're safe. But like, how terrible is this? And then somebody put the handwriting from the
Was it
spray
hers?
paint next to her actual handwriting, and they were like, "Hey, dummy, there are public the public is able to
Wow.
see what your handwriting looks like." And she does this thing with her A's, and then also she dots her I's with like an upside down U. And so that's the same thing that was on the thing. And
What
also
an
just
idiot.
happened to this criminal just happened to not do it to her house. Only the thing
The
outside.
the sidewalk.
Right. It's just I find her
Yeah,
to be a ridiculous human being. And
she's another one. Her and like Elise Stefanik, like they bumped their heads and drank from the same
don't
poison pool.
even
I
get
know,
me
because they weren't like this when they
started.
first got elected. She would like,
Well,
she made a calculate in 2021. There are tweets of her supporting the LGBTQ community.
yeah,
And
she like
so,
very log cabin Republican. She
right.
was, she was part of like a very small group of Republicans that was, because here's the thing, she's young. I mean, she's younger than me. She's got to be like what, like 39 or 40 years
Something
old at
like
this
that.
point.
Yeah.
And I remember because I'm from the 21st congressional
Yeah.
district where I grew up. And I remember when that seat opened, because John McHugh used to be the congressman for a long time, Republican, and actually, went to high school with my mom.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
yeah, and then I forget, there was a Democrat who had the seat for, I think it was like one term, maybe two. And then so the seat opened and she ran, and Paul Ryan, like all the very like establishment
remember.
old school Republicans were going up to the district and campaigning for her. And
She was
she was
part of the Young Guns, like that
yes,
whole
the
program.
youngest woman ever to be elected to the House of
Yep.
Representatives.
Yep. She's
She
supposed to
was
be a new, like part of the
the
new
new
breed of
generation,
of
a
Republican
compassionate
women.
conservative.
Hmm.
She worked in the
I
Bush White
remember.
House.
I
And then
remember.
she made a very calculated decision, like
Hmm.
a lot of people do. And listen, I'm just going to be real with people. People do this on both sides, and it's depressing, but people make business decisions based on where they see the power and the money. And Elise Stefanik made a very calculated business decision and career decision to follow the power. And that was to go to Donald Trump. She saw the writing on the wall and she
Yep.
said, that's where I need to go if I ever want to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
that's what she did. And
Yep.
it is so soulless and craven, her behavior, the way that she treats people, the way that, I mean, I don't know how she looks at herself in the mirror. And she has an advisor that works for her named Alex DeGrasse, who I think has paved the way for her cruelty. He's
Yeah.
he's a really, really mean guy.
Yep.
And
You
it's
have to
been,
be to work for people like this.
yes, yes. And it's just, it's such, I saw some people talking on Blue Sky, because I don't really go on Twitter anymore,
Yeah.
about that seat. And they're like, oh, a Democrat could win. I'm like, guys, no. That a
Well, your
Democrat,
friend ran for that seat.
yes, my friend Tedra Cobb ran against Elise Stefanik 2 times. And, we joke and we're like, you could beat Jesus Christ and not win up there. I mean, against a Republican. It's become so red. And the way that it was redrawn, it's like her and Claudia Tenney are the two districts right next to each other. So, wishful thinking, but I don't see that happening.
Yep. I see that some people in the comments are asking for us to drop our Seneca Project link for Blue Sky in there.
I can do that. If
We
you
can
just
do
give me
that.
a
And
moment.
also for those who you can just type in the Seneca Project and we pop right up because we're the
Mhm.
only ones. Yeah, the Nancy Maces of the world, and remember she went and wore that scarlet letter on her chest, and like, she's just,
What a jackass.
she really
Honestly.
is. And she's been walking around doing these like walk and talk videos and like performative nonsense, pulling shit off walls, saying like, I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
like, shut up. Somebody called her they called her a Cruella de Trash. And
Ooh.
somebody, I saw that, and somebody else called her something about Timu, because she was wearing some kind of like fake fur, horrible, trashy outfit while she was doing it. I just can't. Besides the fact that she acts like that, she's just a terrible person, and I wish she would shut the fuck up and go away. But she's
Yes.
not, because she wants attention, and it's me, and she's doing these horribly cruel things. And I hope the people of South Carolina.
The cruelty is the point, right?
It
With these
is.
people. And I think that that's another part of this. It's as the opposition, and we are the opposition now, the resistance, whatever you want to call us.
Yes.
And I think it's important to always keep in mind that while we must always fight back, we must always hold them accountable and don't make it easy for them. Do not obey in advance.
Yeah.
Also be real about these people. They cannot be shamed.
Yeah.
Don't even try. They cannot be shamed. They don't care.
Nope.
There's nothing that could stop them or make them change their mind. I think the only time there I saw a glimmer of it was the day in the hallway with the women chasing Jeff Flake into an elevator during the Kavanaugh hearings. Like, that was the only time that I saw someone like actually break a little bit.
Yeah, but he still voted for Kavanaugh. He still ended up doing it.
And it was a sham of an FBI investigation.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's just,
but you know what though? I applaud those women for doing it.
Oh my God.
Because that's what we need to do.
Yes.
We have to, if we can't make it easy for them, at least.
That's right.
It's like, don't let them get away with it. Don't just say, well, forget it and throw your hands up. That's what they want. They want to beat you down. They want us to get exhausted. That's part of the authoritarian playbook. They exhaust the other side.
Yep.
And with the, flooding the zone. And we can't let them do that, because they never exhaust, because there's so many of them that they're ready to, if one gets exhausted, they've got another one. It's like Attack of the Clones. Okay. And we just cannot let them do it. And if, we can't go down without a fight. I said that last night on MSNBC. I was like, people, this is the reality, and we cannot normalize it and just go, well, it's just another election. We'll be we'll regroup. We'll see you in 2 years. No, you can't. You cannot. So it's several battles. This is a war. We're in it.
And the pressure really does make a difference. Maybe not always. We can't die in every hill, but apply pressure where a difference can be made. And I think to an extent, I mean, this Matt Gaetz thing, I mean, yeah, the stuff was bad, but I think people were, calling phones of their representatives. And I know that there was probably a lot of discussion behind closed doors about, because everybody hates him, but
Matt Gaetz.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody hates
despised. Matt Gaetz is one of the most despised,
like more than Ted Cruz, I think.
I think so at this point. Ted Cruz was number one for a long time. I think Matt Gaetz has overtaken Ted Cruz, and then JD Vance is coming up like right behind Ted Cruz. They were about even. And now we have to deal with this insufferable prick as our vice president. But he's been in hiding, so. The Donald Trump only trots him out here and there where he needs him to do shit jobs because he's done with him right now. He's got Elon Musk up his ass. And so Elon Musk is now basically the first lady, the vice president, the chief of staff, the OPM director. Elon Musk is pulling a lot of strings.
He's chief buddy. He's just a buddy.
Yeah. I don't know how Don Jr. feels because, Don Jr.'s been replaced. Like Elon is everything right now for Donald Trump. Let's see how long that lasts. Because there were some reports that Donald Trump was getting annoyed with them. He was like,
he's annoying. He's an annoying guy. To Tim Walz's point, right? He's like skipping around, jumping around like a dipshit.
Yeah.
Because like the most Midwest way ever. But it's true. I mean, you saw Donald Trump's face during a couple of those rallies where he jumps up and his like stupid stomach like falls out of his I can't. Such a
wear clothes that fit you. I
can't. Like you have
You're
all the
grown ass man, the richest man in the world. You can buy clothes that fucking fit you.
Same with Donald Trump too.
This is true.
He's got the opposite problem.
Yeah, I don't know what the schleppy thing is. He's got some nerve judging other people. Meanwhile, he looks like a schlep with shoe polish on his face. I don't understand it, and that whatever the fuck that is on his head. And yet Donald Trump is worried about what other people look like. Have you looked in the mirror?
My hairstylist and I had a whole conversation about the comb over yesterday. Because she's like, did you see this photo? Somebody took like a selfie on the plane and he was behind. And I was like, I didn't. So we pulled it up and she's like, you can see all the way back that there's no hair there. And he grows it.
Right.
And it's like a whole, and just sprayed to oblivion. And then the shoe polish on the face.
The shellac. Somebody should make them, I'm sure all the grifters out there on the MAGA side, I'm surprised no one's come out with a cosmetic line
honestly
of Donald Trump's shellac face, because
honestly, between that and like the Tampax on everybody's ear, like I really thought, that's actually a very good point.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Mark my words, it'll come. They've sold all kinds of other stuff. I mean, Pete Hegseth was out there selling grenade shaped soap, for God's sake.
Stop.
Oh yes. And speaking of that, the ambassador to NATO, which is a pretty important job if we care about our strategic alliance overseas, the most important world alliance since World War II that has kept Europe safe from Russia. NATO, that alliance that Trump wants to decimate also. He nominated Matt Whitaker. Do you guys remember who Matt Whitaker is?
The hot
Michelle, tell people who Matt Whitaker is, and then I will add the other part about Matt Whitaker. Speaking of selling shit.
Yeah, he used to be a hot tub salesman, but then during the last Trump administration was the acting attorney general, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, when he got rid of Jeff Sessions, and then they were looking for Bill Barr. This asshole was the acting AG.
Yep, and I call him hot tub time machine, and I saw a tweet because they were like, the saddest thing about this is that he's probably the least qualified person that he's been appointed to any of these jobs. Like he's not, but the best of the bad ones.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
NATO.
No,
NATO?
he has zero qualifications on the
Right.
national security front or diplomacy or Europe or any of those things.
Tulsi.
The freaking guy was selling man toilets. Okay, remember that? The FTC was investigating this company for violations about this masculine man toilet thing. Okay, this is the guy that's about to be our ambassador to NATO.
Oh my God, I forgot about the man.
Yes, that's why I knew you did. That's why I was going to let you do the hot tub thing. And I'm like, here comes the cut guard. He was selling man toilets.
Listen, and there's nothing wrong with being a hot tub salesperson.
No, if it's legit business,
But then maybe also don't be the ambassador to NATO.
Yeah,
you know
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, whoever sells hot tubs, God bless you. Their hot tubs are lovely.
Right.
That doesn't mean you should be the ambassador to NATO.
No.
I'm sorry.
Or the director of national intelligence.
Correct, which leads us to Tulsi Gabbard, who is, you know, by some accounts, potentially a Russian asset. What? For those who don't know, the director of national intelligence is in charge of our 18 intelligence agencies. They oversee all of them. 18 of them. Tulsi Gabbard was in a cult. She's a wackadoo. Yes, and a wackadoo. Okay? She's on the, you know, QAnon conspiracy podcast talking about demons and, you know, all kinds of conspiracy theories. The Russians called her their girlfriend. They're very excited. If the Russians are excited about who you're putting in intelligence positions, maybe that's a red freaking flag.
She's either an asset or a useful idiot or both.
Or
like
both.
I think it's probably both.
I think it's probably both. But we won't know that because they're bypassing FBI background checks, which has been the tradition for 60 years. 60 years. The FBI has done background checks for these positions. Oh, no, but not now. Nope, not now. They're bypassing. Why are they trying to do all of these things to bypass getting all the information you need about the nominees? Because they're not qualified, because they have shit in their backgrounds that would disqualify anybody else. And they don't want us to know. And yet, we're supposed to just take it because Donald Trump allegedly has a mandate. No, he doesn't.
But
no, he doesn't.
Right. That's the thing. As the more and more of the votes are being counted, the mandate that initially we all thought he had, he does not.
Right.
It's a pretty narrow margin.
1.7% right now.
Yeah. And the House, they might only have, and mind you, it might be temporary, a very small majority.
3. It's 3 right now. That's it.
Yeah. That's not a lot.
No.
At all. At all.
Nope. That's not a mandate. Okay. In 1994, when Republicans took back the House and they won like 63 seats, that's a mandate.
Or Reagan in what, 1980, whatever it was.
Right. 84, 49 states. That's a mandate.
Which is just crazy, honestly.
Yeah, I know. It's never happening again. Donald Trump does not have a mandate. A lot of people didn't vote this time, and it's now actually below 50%. So, you know, I mean, George W. Bush won more of the popular vote than Donald Trump did. Hillary Clinton won more of the popular vote than Donald Trump did.
God bless.
So, and she didn't win the presidency. So, like, they need to stop with this mandate shit. They're just trying to say that because they want all of the branches of government. Okay, fine. But the mandate is not what these people, not what the people now. The MAGAs, they don't count. Right. Okay, they're in the cult. I'm talking about the other people who are like, well, let's give them a chance. You know? Is this the mandate that they wanted? I don't think so. I think a lot of it was that they had no idea that this is what he was talking about. They don't pay attention.
No.
And the Trump side was very good at repeating over and over and over again bullshit propaganda.
Right.
And the media ecosystem on the right is so vast and organized that they were smart about putting their messages into where people get most of their news.
Yep.
Which is not cable news and trusted sources anymore, unfortunately, which is a scary prospect.
Yes.
So that's why we started this. We might just be a drop in the ocean, but it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, listen, right. I mean, the more voices, and hopefully trusted voices people who aren't going to bullshit you.
Mm-hmm.
The more that we have, on our side, on the good side, and I say that as just people who believe in democracy and want to fight for democracy and freedom and hold on to what we have.
Yep.
I think the more voices we have in that space, the better off the entire country will be, because the other side has spent over a decade.
Oh,
And that's in addition to the Fox News, all that stuff. I'm talking about like even just the podcast, the talk radio.
30 years in the making.
Right. But the
Yes.
podcast stuff, I mean, like Tim Pool, right? Who's one of Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Laura Loomer,
Yep.
were part of a podcast media company that they were being paid $400,000 a month to do propaganda podcasts, being paid through the Russian government.
By the Russians. That's right.
Yes.
Speaking on that, on the panel with me today at the Democracy Conference was Chris Krebs. Chris Krebs was the original cybersecurity guy in the Trump administration. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
He
I do
oversaw
remember
the CISA, okay, the cybersecurity stuff. And he was like apoplectic about the amount of Russian disinformation that was flooded into our social media platforms this election again. He said it was worse than 2016, worse than 2020.
Mhm.
He said he said like particularly on Twitter, X,
Yep.
whatever hell it's called,
Yep.
but in other places too. But he was like, the amount that they did, it was overwhelming. He said, and it had an impact.
Mm.
And he used that example. He goes, not only were they doing it, that, they're saying they're bots and all of that. Like if people notice that some
Right.
of the larger accounts on Twitter lost tens of thousands of followers immediately after Donald
I
Trump.
lost almost 1,000.
I think I lost 5,000. And
Yeah.
like some people were like, we lost 50,000 followers. Yeah, because all the bots and all of that, they packed up. And guess what they're focused on now, according to Chris Krebs? Their op worked in America. They got Trump
They're
elected.
going to Canada now?
Nope. They're focusing all of their efforts now on taking out Ukraine. So all of the propaganda worldwide now on these networks is to take out Ukraine. Right, because it's originating in Russia, and that's what Putin wants. So this is something that is bigger than just the Fox Newses and stuff. You've got foreign sources that recognize the pain points in our culture and know how to manipulate us. They study us, they know us, they know where our fissures are, and they prey on them, and they have no rules. And this is what they do. And it is the greatest intelligence operation success in history.
Oh, yeah. And they didn't even have to fire a shot.
It didn't have to fire a shot. So
except for in Ukraine.
Well, yes.
Which
shots haven't been fired yet here. I mean, I'm still very nervous about that. What that will look like, especially once Trump starts trying to mass deport people.
Yep.
I just don't know what this is going to look like. But
he said he was going to declare a national emergency to get it going and make it go
that's
faster.
How it starts.
There was the land commissioner in Texas. I think I saw this today. Offered, thousands of acres of land on the border
for the private prisons.
Yep, to build camps.
Yeah.
The private prison industrial complex in this country is a whole nother just corrupt, very disgusting problem. And I actually have a cousin who lives in Arizona. He's a retired attorney, and this is like his retirement work is trying to fight back against the private prison complex. And unfortunately now it's only going to get worse. And I do fear that detaining people, who knows if there's going to be any sort of I don't know. And
I know.
And at what point, do they send people back? Those countries don't want them. Then what happened? Like these are really dark scenarios that I really don't. I hate saying out loud, but it's the darkness, the sinister nature of all of this is so reminiscent of a time almost 100 years ago that
that our grandfathers and great grandfathers fought in World War II to avoid.
Yes.
And I was saying that also today during the Democracy Conference, that the fact that the existential threat to democracy argument did not work on enough people in this country really should scare the shit out of everyone
Yeah.
because we're victims of our own success in America.
Yeah.
We take democracy for granted. And you've heard me say this before, because just like we take oxygen and gravity for granted, it's
Right.
there. You don't know why it's there. It's just there and you don't care until it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing for democracy. The American people have gotten so used to having the freedoms that we have, and we're so far away from World
Yeah.
War II, when those freedoms were legit
Mhm.
under attack and people were being, killed and slaughtered in mass. And what we're fighting for, that's
Millions
right.
of people.
This country would never put up with what's happening right now back then,
No way.
because they understood what was at stake. Not enough of the American people, unfortunately, whether it was because of ignorance or denial or apathy, really fully
all the above.
understood what was at stake by fucking reelecting Donald Trump again.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't know what they have or why it's valuable, then they don't give a shit if they lose it.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at. I don't want to hear that it was just about the damn price of eggs.
Oh God, no. I think
you
that
know
there's
what?
a certain amount of people who want this.
Oh, they
too,
do. The statistics
know?
showed it. I mean, it showed it. And it was we started to see this 2 years ago. We started to see how many people were willing to allow a strong man or authoritarianism. Well, we need someone to fix these things. Or, you know what? Democracy isn't all that great. What? Maybe we do need to something else. And it was like, holy shit, what?
You don't know what you got till it's gone. Truly.
That's what happens when you don't have civics. It's when you don't have civics. It's what happens when we don't talk about what it means to be responsible citizens. Our founding fathers are spinning in their freaking graves going, Jesus, guys, we mapped it all out for you.
I was listening to Hamilton tonight and I was like feeling real sad about it because I was like, these people like did this. I mean, as flawed as they were, and they were flawed people, and it was a flawed system, but when we know better, we hopefully do better, and we try to do better. And, with every generation, there's progress. And to think that we are now stepping backwards, and to your point, like our grandfathers as children, essentially being shipped across on the other side of the world to fight in a war against people. I cannot.
My grandfather.
Imagine.
My grandfather fought in World War II. He enlisted at 17. He lied about his age and enlisted at 17 years old. And like, it's crazy. Back where I'm from in Jersey, right? You go up a little bit to Piermont, New York, and it was right up the road from where we used to live. And there's a pier there in Piermont. It's actually where we watched the last solar eclipse, not the one before it. When I lived home in Jersey, that's where my grandfather left to go to World War II from that pier.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, and when I was in Italy by myself on a trip in 2010, and I stopped in Pisa, and I was joking. I was like, I'm eating pizza in Pisa. But my grandfather was alive then. He passed in 2016. This was 2010. I sent him a picture. I was like, hey, Gramps, look, I'm in Pisa. He's like, I was stationed there. Wow. And I was like, oh my God. And of course I started to cry because I'm a big sap. But like, like,
it's very powerful. It's
powerful, I mean, my grandmother was, part of the whole, like, working when women needed to during World War II. And like my grandfather, when he was like
sacrificed with rations. And I mean, I think about even just like women's baseball, like everybody that like was put in their part, and everyone, had their place and contributed in some way to the war effort, whether it be in entertainment, whether it be working in factories to help build bombs and airplanes, or being, working in the medical field. There were so many different, I mean, it's just.
And what happened to that? We had that because we all had a sense, regardless of our differences in other areas, we all still had a sense of what patriotism meant and the importance of keeping our democracy. And we don't have that now. I don't know. I say this, God forbid we ever have a World War III. First of all, we'd lose. And second of all, we wouldn't come together as a country.
No.
And I think that's sad.
Now, it is very sad.
Is there an opportunity to turn this around, or is there a way to try to stop this march that we're on? Perhaps, but it's a generational fight. It's not going to happen in the next election or even the election after that, if we have one. It's going to require, like, this is a generational fight. So, like, I don't know. I
don't know either. And, that's why, I know I share this clip with you, Tara, sometimes, the one from the movie Don't Look Up, which came out a couple years ago. And
Yes, I remember.
it's with Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's about this asteroid that's going to hit Earth. And they try to tell everybody about it, and they try to warn the whole world about it, but nobody will listen and no one will take it seriously. And obviously it was, you know, you can, you know, take whatever you want from it. Some people were saying climate change. Some people were even saying democracy. Like there were so many different metaphors and themes here. And I think about it all the time because especially in those last couple weeks up to the election and the days after, you know, it's that final scene when the ones who've been warning everyone are sitting at that table, all eating food together. And they look at each other as like, you know, the ground is shaking, saying the thing is, we really did have everything, didn't we?
Yes. And then it goes blank because the asteroid hits. And
Right.
that's the end of that.
And I mean, like I don't, in a way, I felt like I was sitting at that table the day after the election.
You posted it.
Yeah. I was like, I
feeling this.
Yes. Feeling this today because, you know, the devastation on people's, you know, social media platforms and posting about it. And I'm like, I feel like we've been screaming this.
I know.
From the top of our lungs. And
I
just
know.
people aren't listening. And especially when it comes to women. And that's what we focus on here is the women. I mean, I really thought that it was going to make a bigger impact. And it did.
Well, it did.
The ballot measures.
Right. It did down ballot, which is, and as we're still assessing and like looking at the data and things like that, we're seeing a clearer picture of how people voted and where and why. Yeah. And it looks as though that, well, first of all, the majority of women did vote for Kamala Harris.
Yes.
It was white women. Sorry, Mom, but it was the white women.
It always is.
That stayed stuck with Trump.
Over 65, right?
But over 65 did not. Actually, my mom is over 65 now. So it's my generation, the Gen Xers, that didn't. And so that's we have to, you know, figure out why they thought that Trump's depravity and the misogyny didn't matter, but down ballot, they voted to enshrine, you know, reproductive rights and things like that in most states, except for Florida.
Right.
And Democrats won, right? You had the Democrats won in the Senate races and women. Mm-hmm. There was two Black women, first time in history we've ever had that in the Senate. So they're like, there were some shining examples of women doing well. Alyssa Slotkin in Michigan, and Tammy Duckworth in Wisconsin, like they won. And so, but at the top of the ticket, there was a disconnect. So
yes. And I think also a lot of people were like, okay, well, Donald Trump says he's going to leave it to the states, and I believe him. So I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because I like him. Right. But, you know, on my state's, you know, ballot measure, I'm going to make sure to enshrine my rights here because he's not going to touch them. So I'm going to do this for myself and then do this for myself too. Yeah. Not thinking that this man is a ginormous liar. And that's the thing about Donald Trump that always is such a mind meld. It's like he's a liar. He lies about everything, but he also tells the truth.
Yes.
And when he says things, you have to take him at his word. Yes. Right. When he's telling us who he is, he's telling us what he's going to do. Right.
Yep.
But when he's trying to backtrack and save his ass, like, oh, I'm not going to touch abortion, I'm not going to touch IVF, he's lying through his teeth.
Of course. Anytime he's saying something that he's going to moderate on, he's full of shit. Right. When he's talking about the retribution and, you know, making, you know, insulting women or all of those things, he means it because that's who he really is. That, like, if you look at the pattern, that's who he is. The moderate Trump that's telling you what you want to hear, that's not him. That where has he ever done that? So it's pretty, you know, but
a terrible person.
He really is. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like I have to laugh sometimes because I'm like, I can't believe we're here.
We're still in the phase now where, like, because we still have Joe Biden in office like January 20th at noon, it's going to be a whole different. It's going to be very different. I'm not
watching
either.
that.
I don't even want to be here for it. I really
I don't
don't.
blame you. I
I
wouldn't
don't.
be.
I can't stomach it. I don't want to be here. I don't know. I mean, I'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I've already turned down some media hits
Yeah.
about, the inaugural. I'm like, I just don't know if I can't stomach it. I can't stomach the fact that Joe Biden's going to sit there and like do the
Ugh,
statesman thing, even though it is the right thing to do, but
it
it's like,
is, but at,
but you're validating what MAGA did. Just like when Joe Biden welcomed Donald Trump into the White House last week,
that
that was
was
very hard for me to take.
upsetting.
It was very upsetting. I understand that they're trying to do the right thing,
But
but
there was
like,
like a weird, like jovial nature
yeah,
about
like that.
like.
I
I
don't
was
like
like, why are we doing this?
why are we doing this? Right? Welcome home.
I
Fuck
can't.
that. Why
Yeah,
would you welcome this
I was
bastard
like,
back
Joe,
into the
don't do
White
this.
House? He's disrespected everything about that building, about our democracy. The last
Mhm.
time he was in the White House, he was sitting there while his traitorous motherfuckers were trying to take down our Capitol and turn over a free and fair election. And you're gonna sit there and be like, "Welcome home, buddy."
Like
I can't.
I know it's to your point, it's up to us. It's up to the good guys and gals
It
to
is.
do the right thing. And because once we sway and once we falter off course and we stop doing the things that we're supposed to be doing, then it's really over. We
Right.
have
Don't
to
become what you despise, right?
right. We have to
That's my
do our
metric.
duty. However,
Right.
I personally, and Tara, I think you believe this too, and I think we've talked a little bit about it. I am starved, quite frankly, for any leadership on the Democratic side to speak up in a real and visceral, dare I say, colloquial way to be like, guys, this is bad. This is
Yes.
bad, but we're going to fight back. Like,
Yes.
none of this shit's normal. He's going to do crazy stuff. We can't let him get away with all of it. They're going to have to
100%.
go through us first.
That's
And
right.
I'm looking for that. And I
I know.
really haven't.
And look,
I haven't
there
been watching
are.
cable news, so maybe somebody's
I,
been saying it, but I haven't seen
I've been
anything
saying
otherwise.
it.
Well,
I've
obviously,
been saying it.
Tara, of course you are. But I
Well,
mean, you
I
know what I
know.
mean? Like I'm Joe
Yeah.
Biden. I'm like looking for Joe Biden to say something.
Look, Joe Biden is a creature of the institutions.
I
His
know.
goodness is a weakness for him here,
I know.
in that they don't want to face the uglier side of what MAGA is.
Jasmine, for sure.
Oh yes, Jasmine Crockett, absolutely. But she tried to become the conference chair. Well, I forget. Democrats call it something different. The Republicans call it conference chair, but like the communications and policy chair or something. And she ran against Debbie Dingell, who's 70 years old, and white woman from Michigan.
Right.
Her husband was a long time, serving member of Congress, and she's a
great tweeter,
great congresswoman.
Yeah.
She's super, she's there, but she's 70. It's time for some new fresh blood. And Jasmine tried to run against her for that role to kind of be the communications person. Yeah. And she lost. So they tried, but we're looking at the DNC chair now, and there's a lot of milquetoast people that they're putting up for that. And I have to tell you that there are a lot of Democrats who are desperately looking for this, because you can't, if you scream from the rooftops that this guy is Hitler, he's an authoritarian, he's going to destroy our democracy, and then you say, welcome home, when he's sitting in the White House, people are not going to believe it anymore. Either he's a freaking threat to us or he isn't. It's hard. I mean, I know that they're like, well, we need to make sure we maintain decorum. We don't want to be like them. And that's fine. But then, you saw Obama. Obama sat there and was like, I'm just here because I have to be, because this dude is the worst. And yeah, we going to get this over with. He wasn't like, yeah, buddy. And having beers with him. I mean, he doesn't drink, but you know what I'm saying? He didn't do that. And I feel like Biden, I don't know if he's in denial or he just wanted to be above it. But there has to be a point where he could have been like, listen, I'm going to do this because this is the right thing to do in America. We have a peaceful transfer of power. Obviously, you don't need me to walk you around because you've been here before. However, I think that it's a tragedy that you're about to be in this house again.
After what you did
here the last time you were here. And I hope that you don't sully the office of the presidency again the way you did last time. Goodbye.
Yep. And that's why the Democratic Party needs leadership. And Tara and I had a conversation with someone the other day that was is a great person and very smart. But I think philosophically, sometimes Tara and I don't necessarily agree with how the Democrats do business and how they communicate with the rest of the country. And if you notice, the Republicans are lockstep. They're always on the same message every single day,
For
all
better or
day
for
long.
worse.
Right. They have the RNC chair, which right now is Lara Trump. She takes the lead. She's on TV all day long too.
She's the co-chair. She's not even the full chair.
Wait, she's a co-chair? Who else?
She's the co-chair.
How do I? Wow.
Mike Watley is the chair. Like, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
See, I'm plugged in.
But there you go, because she's out setting the tone.
Right. And Jamie Harrison, great guy, very smart. But like,
Nice
I'm
guy,
sorry, where have you been, really?
Right.
In that way, and as a communication leader.
Yes.
For the party, to be the mouthpiece, to lead the way for the rest of the Democrats. And there's an argument that a lot of the candidates don't want one person speaking for them, and I'm like, okay.
Right, because it's a coalition, right? Democrats are a big tent. It's a coalition
big,
party.
Got it.
We get that. That's great. But I use the example that if you are in a battle, a naval battle, and you have an armada, and you are about to go and have a strike force, right? You've got to have somebody that's leading the charge. All the captains that are on the boats are going to end up going this way and that way and this way if they don't have a battle plan. You have to have a leader that's telling everybody, this is where we're going, this is the objective, and this is when we need to do it by. Now, the captains on each ship, they can run their ships how they want to, as long as everybody's going that way and know the enemy's over there. Until you have that, you're gonna get beat by the people who are more organized.
Yep, exactly. And David Axelrod put forth a name that at first I rolled my eyes at because I was like, that guy's such an ass. But then I was like, you know what?
You need a fighter.
He's just enough of an asshole that I think it's gonna work. I hope that they elect him. I don't know if they will. Maybe the establishment kind of blue dog Dems will make it happen, but.
You want to share the name?
Well, it's Rahm Emanuel.
Yes, I know. And look, Rahm Emanuel evokes a lot of feelings.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. But it's that kind of fighting spirit.
You gotta
whether you like him or not.
Look, that's what separates what we do. That's why the Seneca Project was successful in getting viral content. That's why people, when they saw, because we're new, right? We've only been around for a couple of months. So it's if we had the same level of funding and resources that some of the other organizations have, it would have been, even we would have had more impact, but we're building, right? We're like a startup. But that's why people like us, because we speak plain language. We don't fuck around. We speak to people where they are. We're not afraid of offending people because, you have to tell it like it is and be in reality.
People aren't agree with us.
No, and that's okay.
And that's fine.
That's all right. But people know we're real and we're meeting them where they are. And that's what has to happen here. And we would like to expand. We have ideas of how we can do these things. We hope that we get that support so that we can continue to do that, because it's clearly desperately needed.
Yes.
And we know how to do it in our little corner of this.
It's true. Where, Tara is an excellent communicator. I mean, really, there's a reason why everyone loves Tara. When she goes on TV. Well, I mean, they do. Like, I mean, it's not even, people love you because you speak plainly, but also brilliantly in a way that is accessible to people. You're not talking over people's heads, and you talk in a way
I try not to.
That people believe you and they trust you. And both of those things are so, so, so important. And that's why, that's why MSNBC, CNN, that's why everyone's calling you all the time. Can you come on and give your opinion or give your expertise on whatever topic it is? Because people really respond to it. And I think that, and then also obviously, I mean, I'm not skilled in the same way. I don't have the same background as Tara, but I'm a very creative messenger. And so I, help spearhead our ads and our video content. And so together, I think we make a really great team, and we are
100%.
yeah, and we are, and I saw in some of the comments, they're like, I agree with you, but I'm really depressed, and so are we. But you know what? We're going to pick our asses up and we're going to keep going.
That's
We're
right.
going to keep going. And it's something my dad said to me, because, there's, I always feel like I'm fighting a million things on different battlefields.
It's true.
Especially this
Because
year.
Because we are.
Yeah. And there's days that I've just wanted to throw in the towel. Not on this, but, just other things in my life. And my dad says, like, listen, you can do whatever you want, whatever you need to do to keep your peace. But if I know you, you won't be able to live with yourself. And I think a lot of people who are tuning in here, a lot of people who listen to us, a lot of people who care about what's going on in the country right now, I think the same can be said for you. You won't be able to live with yourself if you just let these assholes steamroll past us. While we watch people that we trust, unfortunately, on TV, I'm very disappointed with, watch them roll over and obey in advance. But you know what?
To save their own asses.
To save their own asses, but we don't need them.
That's right. We don't.
We don't need them.
We don't. And I want you to know that why we are such a powerful team is because of your passion and your authenticity. And you don't have to be as skilled as I am. I've been doing political communications for 30 years and all that. But for you it comes from the heart, and people know that. It comes from the heart for me too. But I came up in this. But for you people love you too, because you were behind the scenes before, and now you have the opportunity to be in front of it so people can see who it is that you are. Our chief content officer. You are the one that ushers in all of our ads and our rapid responses and come up with the scripts, and that's your lane. I'm just there as an assist for you there. So that's why for us, we are a great team, and people recognize our authenticity together. And I'm proud to be in this fight with you. So don't sell yourself short, my friend.
No, I am short, but I won't.
You are.
Anybody who knows
what do I call you? What do I call you?
5 feet tall person.
Michelle is little, but I call her the mighty Minnie Kinney.
It's true. It's true. And that was my handle for a long time, was Minnie Kinney, because my great grandmother's name was Minnie. Whole nother story. But there's nobody else I'd rather be in the fight with than Tara, honestly, for that reason. Because there are a lot of people, like I said earlier in this conversation, there's a lot of people who join the resistance movement. And I'm saying on both sides, because it's a business decision. And while, yes, this is our business, we are doing this at great personal sacrifice to continue to do, because we believe in it so much. And we care so much about what happens to all of you, and in particular women, because women are angry.
Yes.
Women are, I think, feeling very sad and defeated in the moment, but also wanting to light shit on fire.
Yes.
And that's very real. And I think in the coming weeks and months, we will see more of it. I think women are going to run for office in record numbers. If I had to guess, I think that will happen. But
no, you were right. You're absolutely right. Today, after the conference, I was approached by a woman who runs an all-women's school, an all-girls school, an all-girls high school here in Northern Virginia. And she asked me if I would come speak to them. I said, absolutely, anytime. And I gave her my card. And she said that we are really trying to place these young women in positions in politics and media so that they get a taste of it, because we want them to run for office. We want them, STEM is great. You go into math and science, and that's wonderful. We want to see that, but we also need women in public policy.
Yep.
And she was like, and we're starting to try to introduce that to them young. And I was like, I'm here for it. Please, because we need to be in these positions.
Yes.
We need to be the decision makers. And it can start at a state and local level, because that's where it impacts everybody's lives more, really, is state and local. So
and that community, and by the way, I just want to say this really quick, because this is another piece of this kind of catatonic state that a lot of us are in. And I was reminded, I had a good friend of mine and his wife stopped over, also a good friend of mine, stopped over last weekend to see my husband and I. We're good friends and have been good friends for a long time, but because of COVID and everything, we just haven't seen each other in a while.
Sure.
And he wanted to know what was going on with me, and aside from what he sees online, and we got to talking, and he was like, listen, right now, the most important thing for all of us is community right now. And that's just like in our peripheral, like the people, our neighbors, are who we can trust, our family, our friends, the people who live near us. In addition, because we spend so much time on screens talking like this and on the Zooms, which is great. And, Tara and I don't live near each other. So it's the way that we communicate until we can, have a drink in person.
Right. We wish we did.
I know. I mean, honestly, please, all my friends have moved to the suburbs. But it is true. And just seeing those friends of mine for 3 hours sitting on my couch charged my battery in a way that had not in a very, very long time.
Yes.
So
it's important.
I encourage people. I know Thanksgiving is coming up, and which just can be kind of a difficult time, I think, depending on what your family's like.
Yes.
My family's great, but
so is mine. So thank God.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about any MAGA moments, but but for a lot of other people.
Yeah. But it's like, this is a time of giving thanks and celebrating and, feeling grateful for the things that we have. And part of that is our community, our friends, our family, our neighbors, our coworkers. So, I just encourage, as much as you can, say yes. Do you want to get a drink? Say yes. Do you want to go get coffee? Say yes. Go to the movies, whatever that is. Because it really does. I mean, it feels so retro, in a way, but to really have FaceTime, game night, anything like that.
Yes.
Just so regenerative. I think it's great. So that's what I encourage people to do. I thought that was great advice.
Yes, 100%. And as we end tonight, I will also encourage people to go see Wicked. I saw a private screening of it on Monday. It was phenomenal.
Jealous. I might go this weekend.
Go see Wicked. It is a great way, but do not sing along in the theater. Apparently they have a notice beforehand that tells everyone, please enjoy the show, but do not sing along, as courtesy to everyone else around you.
Designated sing along.
That's what I said.
You know what I'm saying? Like how they do with Rocky Horror or something like that.
Or Sound of Music. They do that often too. So I think they're trying to navigate it. But right now, in the pre-screenings, people have just been belting it out. And not everybody can sing like Michelle here, who is an excellent vocalist, by the way. And yes, it has been a challenge for the movie theaters. But
I just, on that note, it's funny because the show came out when I was in college, and I was a musical theater student. So it's like everybody was singing all the time, but it's now kind of like old hat,
Yeah,
but now a new generation of kids is going to get to experience this film,
and it's still on Broadway. So if you can go see it on Broadway, please see it on Broadway and see the film. Or if it comes in a national tour, go see it. It is just one of the best musicals ever.
Go see it. My one of my very, very best friends in the whole world was in Wicked for 10 years.
God bless her.
She did Broadway. She did First National. She did, this was when they had sit-down companies, San Francisco, Chicago. She was the Universal Swing. So she did all 4 companies.
Wow.
And then was on the tour for the rest of the time. But she did it for a decade.
First of all, how did she keep her voice? She played Elphaba, right?
No, well, that's my other friend.
Oh, okay.
My other friend Olivia Valley played Elphaba, and Alyssa in New York and on the road. But Lauren is a soprano, so I think she was, able to kind of protect the gift in a different way. And she's also a dancer. So, but I've seen the show. I say that because I've seen the show so many times, and I think there's so many great messages about the struggle between good and evil and sisterhood and like all,
Yes,
and it's just so pertinent
all
to
of
this
it.
moment.
Yes, which is why the movie and the roles that were cast. I mean, Ariana Grande was born to play Glenda.
Yeah, she's
born to play that role. And Cynthia Erivo is an unearthly talent.
Yeah.
And she was born to play Elphaba. I mean, and their on-screen chemistry is exquisite. Their talent is amazing, and it felt very natural, and it's beautifully shot. And and I was concerned. You are the one who told me that it was 2 parts. And I was like, wait, what?
And I was very upset about that.
I was upset about that. And I was like, how are they going to do this? They did it. Trust me. They did it in a way.
I mean, the end of Act 1 is always so thrilling anyway. So
it is. And they pulled it off. So So that's what we're going to end on, a happy note with that.
Yeah.
Please go see Wicked. Enjoy your families. We will not be on next week. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving. We'll probably come to you in 2 weeks. We're still trying to figure it out because we got a lot going on, but we're still here. And thank you for still supporting us. And enjoy.
Find both of us on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky, yes.
In addition to finding the Seneca Project. For me, I'm not spending any time on Twitter anymore. I'm probably going to my account over there pretty soon anyways, but we're on Blue Sky. It's actually great. And it looks like the old Twitter. And it
really does. Like sometimes I forget which one I'm on.
Yeah.
The only reason why I haven't cut my Twitter off yet completely is because Blue Sky doesn't allow you to post videos for more than 1 minute. So I still use Twitter to post my my media hits.
Yeah.
But when we start getting the ability to post for longer than a minute, hopefully they will, or we're going to start uploading, because you can post YouTube, right? So you can embed a YouTube.
Yes.
So what we're probably going to have to do, which is an extra step, which takes more time, and we're a small team here, but I'll have to start uploading my hits to our YouTube channel, and then we'll link it
Which we try to do anyways. It's just sometimes it's just easier on Twitter.
Right. So but I am migrating over to Blue Sky and spending more time over there, because it really truly is delightful. So, and almost all of our Seneca people are there too.
Yes, they are. And I think happily Denver was like, that's where I'm going to be now. I'm not doing Twitter anymore.
Denver said he was on CNN last night for Denver Riggleman, who is our favorite girl dad and our advisory board. He was on CNN last night, and that was his thing about like how he's going to Blue Sky. Also, because Twitter is also just a horrible place, and it's infected with all kinds of terrible things.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is probably going to use it to start punishing people. And we don't want that. So I
deleted all my tweets, all of them.
Bless your heart. I do not have the patience for that. I mean, when I delete it, I'll delete it, but like I can't.
There's a thing called Circle Boom that you can like pay $20 for, and it like does it for you. But
you still have to kind of like go there to do it though, right? Or you just hit like delete all?
You download the archive of your data. So it takes like 24 hours. Once you download that, then you upload it into Circle Boom, and then it deletes it for you.
Oh, well, that's okay.
It just takes a while. So,
all right. Well,
but I also just want to say to Abby, who's in our comments.
Oh, okay.
I think I think I'm correct here, but it looks like her cat passed away. So I just wanted to say I'm so sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
As cat ladies here, you know that touches us. And Abby, I'm going through it still. I lost my Tiki 2 months ago, and it's still not that I wear my necklace. I have Tiki fur in here so that I can bring Tiki with me. And it has been very comforting because I feel like he's still always around. My mom got me this locket to put some Tiki fur in. And if people follow me on Blue Sky, you saw that I was in Niagara Falls last week. I was on my way to Erie, Pennsylvania to speak at this Jefferson Society Global Summit thing. That's a whole nother conversation. The battle that I had with Chris Matthews and David Urban. And
I keep checking YouTube. It's they're gonna post it. They're gonna post it.
It was a battle, and I had to set those mofos straight. But that's another thing. So I said, if I'm going to go to Erie and fly through Buffalo to get there, I'm right there by Niagara Falls. I should go over to Niagara Falls because I hadn't been since I was like 7 with my grandmother, and I really don't remember. So it felt very new. I hadn't stepped foot on Canadian soil since then. So what I didn't realize is that when you drive, there's 3 bridges, and one of the bridges is the Rainbow Bridge. It's called the Rainbow Bridge. And I had my Tiki necklace on, and as I was approaching it, I felt the tears. And I was like, oh my God, I'm literally crossing the Rainbow Bridge with Tiki. So by the time I got across the bridge, and I need to like be careful because I'm going to start to cry now. I got to the border crossing, and I was a mess. And I was trying to get myself together. And the customs agent was like, why are you coming to Canada? How long? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I recently lost my kitty, and the Rainbow Bridge kind of sent me. So I'm like, and I have his little Tiki fur here. And I was like, it was just a lot to process. She was like, oh my gosh, it was a woman. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's okay. And so anyway, so I got there and I posted the video where I was like, well, guys, I got to take Tiki over the Rainbow Bridge. We did it together, and he got to see Niagara Falls. So Abby, we understand. I say all that to say we understand, and They're always with us. They are always with us. They never leave us. They're truly
So
always
true.
with us. So
So true.
it's now your kitty will tag in the next one to come in and take care of you. So
Yeah.
that's what someone told me. So I'm waiting. I will eventually get there. I'm not there yet.
The kitty distribution center will make its way to you in whatever way and whenever way you're ready.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, folks. We will see you in 2 weeks. Continue to follow us. We're still here. And remember, do not obey in advance.
That's right. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks. We'll see you soon.